In the dark space between two galaxies, a ship moved silently. It was the royal vessel of Princess Sarala, the only daughter of the great alien queen Valithra. The ship was smooth, silver blue, and shaped like a flying blade. It carried the princess and her guards back from a peace meeting on the edge of enemy territory. But peace was not meant to last. Without warning, 3 attack ships came from the shadows. They fired energy bolts, fast and bright. The royal vessel shook, alarms screamed, and fire burst from the engines. The guards rushed to protect the princess, but it was too late. The ship spun out of control, flames dancing across its wings, and fell toward a nearby moon. Inside the ship, Sarala held tight to her seat. Her heart pounded. The stars outside turned into red and gold streaks. She closed her eyes and whispered, an old royal prayer. Then dash, crash. Everything went dark. Hours passed. Wind blew across the cold, rocky surface of the moon. A lone human figure stood on a high ridge, looking at the smoke rising in the distance. His name was Elias Ward. He was a former Earth Federation soldier, now living alone in exile. He wore a worn jacket, thick boots, and carried an old plasma rifle across his back. He had seen many things in his life, wars, betrayals, and broken worlds. But a royal virulent ship falling from the sky? That was new, curious. Ilias walked across the rocky land. The crash site was hot and broken. Metal parts lay everywhere. He moved slowly, carefully, and then he saw her half, buried in dust and metal, a figure in silver armor, weak but alive. "Hey," Elias called out. "Can you hear?" "Me." The alien woman groaned softly. Her eyes opened, bright violet, glowing faintly. She reached for something, but her hands shook. "I'm not here to hurt you," Elias said. "Hold on." He lifted her gently, careful not to move her too fast. She was tall, thin, with skin like pale silver and markings like flowing vines. Her armor was cracked. One arm was bleeding blue. "Your ship's gone," Elias said as he laid her down under a nearby rock shelter. "But you're lucky I was close." She blinked slowly. "You... are not virulent?" "Nope," Elias said. "Human names? Elias, you?" The woman paused, trying to gather strength. "Princess Sorella of House Valithra?" Elias raised an eyebrow. "Royalty? Well, I guess I just rescued a princess." She looked at him carefully. "Why did you help me?" Elias shrugged. "You fell from the sky. Looked like you needed a hand." Over the next few days, Elias helped Sorella recover. He gave her clean water, simple food, and treated her wounds with an old medkit. At first she was quiet, proud, and distant. She didn't trust him, but she watched him closely. He built fires, hunted small moon beasts, and fixed a small device from his pack. All of it without expecting anything in return. One night, while they sat beside a fire, Sorella finally spoke. "You are alone here?" Elias said, "Left Earth years ago. Federation turned cold. Got tired of following orders that didn't make sense. You're a soldier, was not anymore." She looked into the fire. "I was not supposed to survive. A ship was attacked by someone who knew our path. You think it was planned?" She nodded. "Yes. Someone in the Empire wants me dead." Elias whistled softly. "That's tough. I need to return," she said, standing slowly. "They must know I live." Elias looked at her calmly. "Even if someone there wants to finish the job. I am the only heir," she said. "I must protect my people." Admired that. He'd seen leaders before selfish, cruel, greedy. But this one. She was wounded, lost, and still thinking of others. "Then we better get off this rock," Elias said. The next morning, Elias led her to his small ship, the Resolute, hidden inside a cave. It wasn't fancy, just a patchwork ship made from old Earth parts and salvaged alien tech, but it worked. Sorella stared at the ship with wide eyes. "This is yours?" "Yup," Elias said proudly. "Built it myself over the years. She's not pretty, but she can fly." inside the ship was simple but clean. Sorella touched the panels gently. Human symbols mixed with alien script. You live like a ghost. She said. I prefer peace, Elias replied, but you're helping me. That is not peaceful. He smiled. Sometimes helping others is worth more than hiding. As they left the moon's orbit, Sorella looked back once. Her voice was soft. Thank you, Elias. He nodded. Don't thank me yet. Out. We've still got a long way to go. And in that moment, two souls from different worlds shared a bond, a soldier with a broken past, and a princess with a dangerous future. Neither of them knew what waited ahead. But one thing was certain. The galaxy was about to change, because a human and a royal alien had just joined forces. The Resolute moved through deep space, far from trade routes and patrol zones. Its engine hummed softly. Inside the ship, Princess Sorella sat near a window, looking out at the stars. Her thoughts were heavy. She had survived the crash, but her mission had failed, and now she was a target in her own empire. Elias Ward, human who saved her, stood in the control room, adjusting the ship's course. He didn't speak much, but his calm nature made Sorella feel safer than she expected. She turned to him. Where are we going? Neutral zone, Elias replied. A place called Nabrick Station. It's a hidden market between sectors. No one asks questions there. We can hide, fix the ship, and gather info. Sorella nodded slowly. I need to send a message to my mother, the Queen. Elias glanced back. That's risky. If someone listens in, they'll know you're alive. She looked down. If I don't tell her, the people will think I'm dead. He walked. Oberon handed her a warm drink. Then we'll be smart about it. Encrypt it. Use an old channel, something only your people would know. Sorella was surprised. You know Varellan code systems? I studied them, Elias said. Back. When the Federation feared your kind might attack Earth? You're full of surprises? Human? Elias chuckled. You haven't seen half of it yet? When the Resolute reached Nabrick Station, the sight was stunning. How the station was built inside a hollow asteroid with bright lights, loud engines, and ships from all over the galaxy. Merchants, smugglers, miners, and spies walked the metal halls. Creatures of all shapes and sizes filled the air with noise and strange smells. It was a dangerous place, but a perfect place to disappear. Sorella wore a simple cloak to hide her identity. Her long silver hair was tied back, and her glowing eyes covered by shaded lenses. Elias walked beside her, alert and cautious. They visited a trader named Jarn, a short green alien with 6 arms and a sharp mind. Jarn owed Elias a favor from years ago. You're alive, Ward? Jarn hissed. Last I heard, you were dead in Sector 14. Not yet, Elias said. We need information. Quietly. Jarn looked at Sorella. She's Virulin. That's trouble. Elias stepped closer. She's with me. Jarn raised his hands. Fine, fine. Come to the back. In a quiet room behind the shop, Jarn pulled up news reports and secret channels. Images filled the screen. Explosions, a royal ship destroyed, and the face of Princess Cyrilla marked presumed dead. Cyrilla's breath caught. They've already moved on. Jarn nodded. And there's more. A new voice is rising in. The Empire, Lord Traxon. Your cousin? Sorella's eyes narrowed. Traxon? He would never become heir unless I was gone. Elias crossed his arms. Guess he got what he wanted. Sorella stood up. We need proof. If I return with nothing, they'll silence me. Jarn hesitated. There's a Place Lumora archive, floating library of your people. It holds logs from all royal ships, including your crash. Sorella looked at Elias. We go there next. Back on the Resolute, Sorella worked quietly beside Elias. She watched him fix wires, adjust shields, and upgrade the old ship with stolen tech. You are not like other humans I've met, she said. You've met many. Some during meetings. Most of them were loud, proud, always trying to prove something. Elias smiled. Yeah, that sounds like us. But you are quiet. Careful. Elias looked at her. I've seen what happens when pride goes too far. Sorella studied him. What made you leave Earth? He paused. Orders I didn't believe in. Missions that hurt innocent people. I walked away.
Oh.
She nodded slowly. You chose honor. Over power? That's rare. He looked at her seriously. Why do you trust me? Because you didn't have to save me. You've had many chances to leave me behind. You didn't. They shared a quiet moment. In a galaxy full of lies and war, two strangers had found something rare. Trust. As the Resolute flew toward Lumora Archive, they passed through a storm field. Energy lightning cracked through space. Ilias gripped the controls tightly. Hold on, he said. This gets rough. The ship shook, alarms blared, but Elias guided it through like a dance. Sorella watched, amazed. You were born for this, she whispered. Elias laughed. Born for trouble, maybe. Finally, the ship broke through, and the archive appeared. It was a giant crystal structure, floating alone. Thousands of light threads connected it to tiny satellites, glowing in the dark. Sorella placed her hand on the window. This place holds every truth of our people. Elias nodded. Let's hope. It has the truth you need. They landed quietly on a lower dock. The archive was silent and cold. Inside, floating lights guided them through silver halls and glowing symbols. Sorella moved with purpose. We need ship logs. Section Delta 7. Lead the way, princess. It reached the log chamber. A glowing orb hovered in the center. Sorella touched it. And images appeared: her ship, its path, its damage, and a secret signal. Elias leaned in. Someone sent false orders. Led you into a trap. Sorella's face hardened. Traxon. He planned it all. Elias grabbed a copy. We have the proof. Suddenly alarms rang. Red lights flashed. They know we're here, Elias shouted. Time to go. They ran back to the ship, footsteps echoing behind them. Guards appeared at the entrance. Raised her hand and used her psychic force to push them back. Elias opened the hatch. Go. I'll cover you. But Sorella turned back. No, we go together. They jumped into the Resolute, engines firing just in time. As they escaped into space, Sorella looked at the data in her hand. This changes everything. Elias nodded. Now the real fight begins. The Resolute moved through silent space, heading deeper into Virulon territory. Inside the ship, Princess Sorella stared at the glowing data crystal in her hand. It held the truth proof that Lord Traxon had sent false signals to destroy her. Ship. He wanted me out of the way, she said softly. Elias, sitting in the pilot's seat, nodded. And now he probably knows you're still alive. Sorella looked at him. He must act before he strengthens his power. We can't go to the Queen yet, Elias said. He may have spies everywhere, Sorella agreed. We need more than proof. We need the people to believe. Elias leaned back. So where do we go now? Sorella stood tall. To the Hall of Trials on the planet Viridra. It's ancient, but still respected by our people. If I pass the trial, they must listen to me. Elias raised an eyebrow. What kind of trial? She looked serious. A psychic challenge. Mind against mind. The hall sees into your soul. If I lie, it will reject me. If I'm pure, it will show my truth to all. Elias let out a low whistle. Sounds intense. Sorella nodded. It is. They arrived at Viridra, a quiet green world with misty forests and floating stone towers. The Hall of Trials stood on top of a tall cliff surrounded by glowing blue trees. It was old, built by the first Varellans thousands of years ago. No machines guarded it, only energy and memory. Elias looked around. Creepy place. Sorella smiled slightly. It is sacred. Together they walked through the stone archway. The doors opened on their own. Inside, the hall was lit by soft blue lights. The walls seemed to whisper. A ghost-like voice echoed. Who seeks the trial? Sorella stepped forward. Sorella Velithra, heir to the throne. A pulse of light moved through the room. Do you come with pure intent? Yes. Then enter the mind chamber. Elias followed her, but the voice stopped him. The trial is for the seeker alone. Sorella turned to Elias. Wait for me. No matter what you see, do not come in. Elias nodded. I'll be right here. Sorella entered the mind chamber, a round room with a glowing crystal in the center. She sat in front of it and closed her eyes. Instantly, everything changed. She stood in a dark space. Around her were floating memories, her childhood, her lessons, her royal duties. Then came further crash, the betrayal, the anger at Traxum. A voice echoed, Who are you? I am Sorella, daughter of Velithra. What do you seek? Justice. Images changed. She saw herself on the throne, cold and alone. Her voice was harsh. The people feared her. This was a future without love, without trust. No, Sorella whispered, this is not who I want to be. Then a new vision appeared, her and Elias side by side. She wore battle armor, and he held a banner with the Virulon symbol and the Earth Star. People cheered. The Empire and humanity stood united. Is this your truth? Sorella placed her hand on her heart. Yes. A flash of light surrounded her. The crystal in the real world glowed bright, and a bell rang across the hall. Outside, Elias looked up as the door opened. Sorella walked out slowly, eyes glowing faintly. The trial had changed her. She looked stronger, calmer. You did it? Elias asked. She nodded. The hall accepted me. Did it show you anything? Strange? Sorella looked at him quietly. It showed me a future. You were in it. Elias blinked. Me? Yes. We stood together. Not as allies. As something more, Elias didn't know what to say. Cleared his throat. Well, that's something. Sorella smiled. Let's get to work. They traveled to a nearby Virulon broadcast station. Using Sorella's royal code and the trial crystal, they activated a public message. Sorella stood in front of the camera. People of the Empire, she said, I am alive. The ship crash was no accident. I was betrayed. This is the truth shown by the Hall of Trials. Images of her trial appeared across the Empire. Citizens watched with wide eyes. Soldiers paused, farmers cried, young ones cheered. She ended her message with strong words. I will return. I do not come with war. I come with truth. Stand with me. But not everyone was happy. On the capital world, Lord Traxon sat in a golden hall. His advisors showed him the message. She lives, one said. Traxon's face was calm but cold. Then we move faster. Spread doubt. Tell the people the trial was faked, and find that human she travels with. The human. Yes, he's the weak link. Traxon turned to the window, watching his soldiers march. She wants truth. I'll give her war. Back on the Resolute, Sorella and Elias planned their next step. We go to the outer houses, Sorella said. If they see me in person, they'll believe. It'll be dangerous, Elias warned. She smiled. That's why I have you. Smiled back. Always. As the ship left the system, Sorella sat beside Elias. Thank you, she said, for staying, for believing. Elias looked at her. You gave me a reason to believe again. 2 stars passed in the distance there, light shining through the darkness. Together they flew into the unknown, carrying the truth that could change everything. The message of Princess Sorella's return spread across the Empire like fire in dry grass. Her face appeared on screens in ships, cities, and space stations. The royal houses were shocked. Some believed her, others called her a fake. But the people remembered her kindness. Many began to whisper her name in the streets. The true heir is alive. On board the Resolute, Elias and Sorella read the reports carefully. She's gaining support in the outer ring, Elias said. But the central houses are still with Traxon. Sorella nodded. He has more power, more control, but he owns the capital. Elias looked serious. Then we need to turn the tide, win the hearts of the people before he crushes us. Sorella pointed at the screen. Thous. Valor on the planet Jurith once served my mother. If we speak to them in person, others may follow. Elias smirked. Then let's go win some hearts. They arrived on Jurith 2 days later. It was a desert world, full of red sand and ancient temples. The capital city, Kairos, stood tall with white towers and wide streets. As soon as the Resolute landed, guards surrounded the ship. Their leader, a tall woman in golden armor, stepped forward. Identify yourselves, she demanded. Sorella pulled back her hood. I am Sorella Valithra, daughter of Queen Valithra. I seek audience with Lord Valere. The woman stared in shock. Then she dropped to one knee. Forgive me, princess. We thought you were gone. Sorella offered her hand. Rise. We have work to do. Inside the main hall, Lord Valere, an older Virulon with gray markings, met them with cautious eyes. I saw the message, he said, but many think it is a trick. Sorella placed the trial crystal on the table. This is no trick. I survived. I faced the trial. It showed my truth. Valor touched the crystal. Images of her trial, her pain, and her strength appeared. He nodded slowly. I believe you, he said, and I will stand with you. Cheers rose from his advisors. The hall echoed with hope. Elias stepped forward. We'll need more than words. We need action, Valor agreed. Then let us prepare. The other houses must hear this. Soon Sorella stood before thousands in Kairos. The people filled the square, waving banners and shouting her name. She spoke with power. I did not die. I rose from the ashes. I carry the truth. I carry hope. The empire belongs to its people, not to traitors. The crowd roared. Her voice touched their hearts. But as support grew, danger followed. That night, while Sorella rested, Elias stood guard. Near the ship, his sharp eyes caught movement. He drew his old plasma pistol. 3 shadowed figures crept near. They wore dark robes and held silent weapons. Elias fired a warning shot. Stop right there. They rushed forward. Fast. Silent. Elias ducked, rolled, and hit the first one with a stun blast. The second swung a blade, but Elias blocked it with his rifle and kicked him back. The third jumped from above, but Sorella appeared just in time, her hand glowing with psychic energy. She threw the attacker backward. The blast of force, all 3 attackers were down. Sorella knelt beside one. They wear the mark of House Traxon. Elias shook his head. He's sending assassins now. Sorella's eyes narrowed. He knows we're winning. The next morning, Lord Valor gave them a message from the Queen's court. She has called a special council, he said. Every royal house is invited, including you, Sorella. Elias frowned. Sounds like a trap. Sorella nodded. Or a chance. Valor handed her a ceremonial badge. You'll need to show your strength. They will test you. Speak with truth. But be ready for anything. The royal capital, Zerith Prime, was a shining world covered in silver forests and crystal cities. At its center stood the Hall of Unity, where all the houses gathered. As the Resolute landed, Sorella took a deep breath. She wore her royal armor silver with a flowing blue cape. Her hair was tied back, and her eyes glowed with quiet strength. Elias stood beside her in a clean uniform. Not fancy, but proud. Guards led them through the golden halls. Noble leaders watched them with silent stares. Whispers followed. Is that the human? She walks with him? She's not afraid. At last, they stood before the throne. Queen, Valithra sat high, proud and cold. Her face showed no emotion. Round her, lords and ladies waited for her word. The queen raised her hand. "You return, daughter?" Sorella bowed. "Yes, mother." The queen's voice was strong. "And who is the man with you?" Sorella looked at Elias, then back at the court. Her voice was clear. "He is my partner, a human, a warrior, a friend. He saved my life." Gasps filled the room. "A human?" one lord shouted. "She dishonors us," another cried. But Sorella stood firm. "He fought for me when my own people tried to kill me. He guided me when I was lost. He believes in truth. I trust him." Elias remained silent, but his eyes were steady. Queen Valithra looked down at them both. "You bring chaos, Sorella." Sorella's voice did not shake. "I bring truth." The queen rose slowly. "And let the council decide. Tomorrow you may. Speak, the houses will vote. Until then, rest. But no, this many do not want you to win." As Sorella and Elias were led to their guest rooms, she whispered, "This is the moment. Everything we've done leads here." Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. "No matter what happens, I'm with you." She looked at him. "I know." Outside the window, the stars shined over Zirith Prime. The final battle had not yet begun, but the storm had already arrived. Morning came slowly over the shining towers of Zirith Prime. A soft golden light fell through the windows of the royal palace. Inside, Princess Sorella stood in silence, preparing herself for the day ahead. Today the royal houses would vote. Today, they would decide if she would be heard or forgotten. She looked at her reflection in the mirror. Her armor was polished, her eyes were steady. She was no longer just a royal daughter, she was a leader. Elias walked in, wearing a dark jacket and utility belt. "You ready?" Sorella nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be. I'll try to stop you," he said. She looked at him. Let them try. The Hall of Unity was full. Every noble house had sent a representative. The room buzzed with whispers and sharp glances. In the center stood Queen Valithra, silent and regal on her high throne. When Sorella entered, all eyes turned. Some looked with hope, others with fear. Queen Valithra raised her hand. "Speak, Sorella Valithra. I speak forward. I speak for truth. I speak for the Empire. Y'all saw the message. You saw the trial. I survived because I must lead." A voice shouted from the side. "And what of your human? He stands beside you even now." Sorella turned calmly. "Elias Ward saved my life. He is no servant. He is my equal, my partner." Gasps spread across the room. Another noble stood. "Ain't. Human has no place in this council." Sorella raised her voice. "He has done more for this empire than many in this hall." Elias stood quietly. His hands rested at his sides, but his eyes were sharp, watching every movement. Queen Valithra looked at the gathered nobles. Let the houses speak. One by one, each house stepped forward. Some bowed in support. Some refused. House Vaylor, House Namari, and House Durrell stood with her. Others, like House Malvec and House Thruse, backed Traxon. When the final vote was taken, the numbers were close, but not enough. "The council is divided," Valithra said. "No clear support." Suddenly a voice rang through the chamber. "That is because the council is afraid?" All turned as Lord Traxon stepped into the hall. He wore black armor with red markings, his face proud and cold. "You speak of truth, Traxon," said Sorella, "but you bring weakness. You bring chaos. You bring humans." Sorella stood tall. "I bring change. That is what you fear." Traxon's eyes narrowed. "You left this empire in flames, returned with outsiders. I will not let you rule." Kia turned to the court. "If they will not choose, then let the sword decide." Gasps echoed again. Trial of combat had been called. Queen Valithra said nothing. She did not stop him. Sorella looked at Elias. "He wants blood." Elias stepped forward. "Then give him fire." The trial of combat was held in the Arena of Stars, a sacred place where only highborns could fight for honor. The crowd gathered. Quickly, the news spread across the empire. Princess Sorella would fight Lord Traxon. Elias checked her armor and weapons. He's bigger, strong, but he fights with pride. That's a weakness. Sorella smiled slightly. And I fight with purpose. You sure you want to do this alone? I must, she said. But if anything goes wrong, I'll be watching, Elias promised. The arena lights dimmed. Sorella entered first. She carried a dual-blade staff, glowing with energy. From her, Traxon entered with a heavy war sword. He wore thick armor and smiled with cruel confidence. The bell rang. Traxon struck first fast and hard. Sorella blocked, rolled, and moved with grace. Her staff spun like light in the wind. Crowd held its breath. They clashed again. Sparks flew. Sorella's psychic power sent a shockwave, knocking Traxon back. But he recovered quickly, slamming his blade into the ground. Sending a wave of force, Sorella jumped, flipped, and countered. The fight continued, each strike louder than the last. Then Traxon struck her shoulder. She cried out but did not fall. You are weak, he hissed. I am still standing, she replied. Using her psychic force, she lifted pieces of the arena floor and threw them at him. He blocked one, then two but missed the third. It knocked him off balance. She charged, spun, and struck her staff, hitting his sword hand, disarming him. She held the staff at his chest. It's over, she said. Traxon's eyes burned with hate. You think they will follow you now? Sorella turned to the crowd. Not because I won a duel, but because I did not run from it. People stood, cheered, chanted her name. Back in the palace, Queen Velythra met her in private. Her expression was unreadable. You won, she said. I earned it. The queen walked to the window. You bring light, but light brings shadows. War will come. Sorella nodded. Then we will face it. The queen turned. And this human of yours, Sorella did not hesitate. He stays as my partner. Velythra stared for a long moment, then nodded. So be it. In the following days, more houses joined her side. Support grew. People believed. But Traxon had vanished. Yes. Army, loyal to him alone, began to gather in the dark systems. Ships disappeared. Bases were taken. War was coming. Elias stood on the command deck of the Resolute. It's now upgraded and part of Sorella's fleet. You see this? He asked, showing her a map. They're moving fast. Need to strike first. Sorella nodded. We'll move to the border systems. Rally the defenders when the time is right. We take the capital back fully. Elias looked at her. You ready? Sorella smiled. We're ready. The stars outside flickered. The air felt heavy with what was to come. Across the galaxy, people held their breath. The princess had returned. The humans stood beside her. And now, the war for the Empire was about to begin. The final battle for the Verilon Empire had come. The stars around the capital world, Zereth Prime, flickered with warships. The dark fleet of Lord Traxon closed in, ready to crush the forces of Princess Sorella. Inside the Resolute, Elias checked the weapon systems one last time. The ship was fast and strong, with new shields and energy cannons. Beside him, Sorella stood tall in shining armor. Her eyes were calm but fierce. This is it, Elias said quietly. Sorella nodded. For our people, for the future. Outside. The sky burned red with explosions. Sorella's fleet clashed with Traxon's dark ships. Fighters darted like shooting stars, weaving through beams of energy. On the ground, the Loyalists fought fiercely. Citizens joined the defense, armed with whatever they could find. Sorella's words had given them hope. Elias led a group of fighters in a daring mission. Their goal was to disable the enemy's command ship, the Black Viper. It was heavily guarded. And shielded, as they approached, enemy fighters swarmed. Elias moved with skill and courage, human tactics surprised the Virulon soldiers. They followed his lead, turning chaos into order. Sorella landed near the palace with her guard. City was in flames. Smoke rose from broken buildings. But her people stood strong. She climbed the steps of the great throne hall, determined to face Traxon. Inside, the hall was dark and cold. Lord Traxon waited, his armor cracked, but his eyes burning with hatred. "You think you have one?" Traxon sneered. "This empire belongs to me." Sorella raised her blade. "It belongs to all who believe in justice." He fought fiercely. Traxon was strong, but Sorella was faster and wiser. Using her psychic power, she blocked his strikes and weakened his defenses. At the moment of truth, she spoke. "It is over. Traxon, surrender and live, or fall and be forgotten." Traxon laughed bitterly. "I will never surrender." Sorella's blade found its mark. He fell to his knees, defeated but alive. Meanwhile, Leas and his team fought their way through the Black Viper's defenses. Inside the command room, they disabled the control systems. The enemy fleet lost coordination and began to retreat. Elias sent a message to Sorella. "The fleet is breaking. You have the moment?" Sorella heard the message and smiled. Back in the throne hall, Queen Villithra entered quietly. Her eyes met Sorella's. "You have done well, daughter," she said softly. Sorella bowed. "Thank you, mother." Villithra turned to the gathered nobles. "The empire is yours." The crowd cheered. Sorella raised her hand in peace. Then she looked at Elias and took his hand. "This is more than an alliance," she said. "He is my partner. Together we will lead this empire into a new age." The people cheered louder, not just for their new empress, but for the bond between two worlds. Days later, in the bright halls of the palace, Sorella and Elias stood side by side. They planned the rebuilding of the empire together. "We have much work to do," Sorella said. "But now, hope shines brighter than ever." Elias smiled. "And humanity will be there every step of the way." As they looked out over the city, the stars twinkled in the night sky. A new dawn had come for the Virulon Empire, one of unity, courage, and a future shared by all.